Welcome everybody to another Wednesday wrap-up, your weekly entertainment wrap-up brought to you by Borderline Entertainment. If you're watching this live right now, that means you are a part of the conversation on twitch.tv/Borderline Entertainment, where we stream Wednesday wrap-ups right here every Wednesday at 8 p.m. But if you find that you're watching this on YouTube, that means that you're catching it a few days later, and here's the big kicker. While it is enjoyable and you get more of the visual flair, you're missing out on everything else. So there's so many goodies, there's so much conversation that you could actually be a part of if you could watch the show every Wednesday on twitch.tv/Borderline Entertainment. But we appreciate the views no matter what, so thank you again for watching and being part of the conversation. This show this week is brought to you by our patrons. And don't forget, you can be one too. Head over to patreon.com, search Borderline Entertainment, and think about giving just $1. If you could conceptualize this, imagine you and 1 million of your friends donating just $1. How many times do you have 4 quarters falling out of the holes in your cheap pockets and you don't even bat an eyelash? Imagine if you put those 4 quarters to a good cause like Borderline Entertainment. So again, please consider joining the cause. Now, as you can tell, I am joined by Mr. Will Evans.
For those of you new, Will Evans joined Borderline Entertainment a little while ago, so excited to be back here for another episode of the Wednesday Wrap-Up. We have a lot of great topics, a lot of things that I'm certainly eager to dive into, but thank you to everyone who's currently watching right now on Twitch, and for those that are catching us on YouTube, no worries, but like Asa mentioned, you are missing out on a lot of great content. We did have a phenomenal conversation last week. Really excited about everything that we bring up because these are the hot topics.
If you're new to the show and you don't understand what this is, let me just tell you. So we take all of these stories that happen within a week, Wednesday to Wednesday in entertainment news. We put our heads together and we pick out 4 standout news stories. We rank them and then we give it to you in a more digestible piece. So with that said, we're going to kick things off with our Apple of the Week, the best news story and entertainment news.
Apple of the Week goes to DCEU. Surprisingly,
woo-woo!
We're bad guys. It's what we do.
They're making some shakes. Now, the decisions that they're making are like killing some things and changing some other bits, but that's okay because it seems to be for the better.
Yeah, and so it's really funny because I feel like we've had this shift now. I think previous Wednesday wrap-ups, we've had discussions of what the DCU is doing wrong, but more recently that conversation has shifted over to Marvel, some missteps that we're seeing on Marvel Disney side. And I think DCU, while they're not so unified in the direction, I think there are some glimmers of hope that we can see in some of the content that's being created, when that content is being created, and then kind of the the rollout of it. So I think there's a lot of good things to be excited about when it comes to some new material. More recently, Doom Patrol was a big hit for the DCEU on the DCU, was it the network channel?
Yeah, DC Universe or something like that.
Yeah, DC Universe, whatever it is. I haven't subscribed to it. I'm waiting for some real meaty content to come out of there, and I think for me it's kind of similar to with the Disney Plus. But yeah, I think DCU is doing some good things with the shows that they've got lined up, and I think they've taken some good steps in the right directions. So what are your thoughts about the rollout that we're seeing, the content that's being created, as well as this content in relation to some of the missteps we've seen with the larger pictures?
So we know all the issues with the Batman drama, but then you look at the new direction that they're focusing on. Looking at Aquaman, Aquaman got a lot of great reception. I'm super excited about Shazam, and I like the direction that they're going with those being really more single movie focused, having a soft connection to other films, but really not shoehorning anything, not shoving anything in people's faces. Everything's very subtle, but again, these movies are very like singular story focused, which I think is what they should have been doing from the beginning. But I'm happy that they're finally like, okay, let's take this new direction. And they finally canceled that stupid Jared Leto Joker movie.
I don't know about you, but that was probably my favorite interpretation of Joker ever. Totally kidding.
So bad.
That was garbage.
And the fact that there were going to be 2 Joker movies, that made no sense. And I'll be honest, I'm really excited for Joaquin Phoenix's Joker movie.
I didn't realize that you were laughing.
Yeah, I am too, because I think I'm still trying to figure out the tone that the DCEU wants to go in, because I think what they were trying to do was make it a little bit darker. And I think in comparison, I think
A little bit darker?
Well, I think just in natural comparison to Marvel, I think the tone of most of the DCEU is much darker than, or the DC universe is much darker as a whole in comparison to the Marvel universe. Now, there can be arguments that are made there, but I feel like that is just going to be a very grounded film. I think that is exactly what we needed, as opposed to anything flashier than that. I still think that there's work that needs to be done in really capturing an audience of, with characters that people care about. And I think that's what we're starting to get a lot more now. They're just throwing characters out there to see who's going to connect with audiences. I think maybe they feel that some of the mainstays have kind of worn their welcome.
It's because they have 10 million iterations
in the theaters with those. So I don't really know. But regardless, I think they're trying to make amends for the initial blah that was everything Justice League and whatnot.
Congratulations again to DC. You win the Apple of the Week, the best news story in entertainment news. But as we say here on Wednesday Wrap Up, not all news is good news. And that brings us to the Onion of the Week, the worst news story in entertainment news. And sadly, that goes to Activision Blizzard and their layoff of upwards of 800 employees. That number, I did pull that from an article written by Jason Schreier at Kotaku.com. Not only was it disheartening to see all the jobs that were lost, all the lives that were affected, but in a very twisted way, in the same press briefing, the CEO announced that they had the most profitable year in 2018. So in that same day, they had the most profitable year. But then also, hey, 800 people, we don't really need you. Thank you for helping us achieve that, but goodbye. And it was just like a complete disregard, for people. I loved seeing all of the people in the industry reaching out. There were a lot of companies that said, hey, we have jobs available. That was a great thing to see. Again, the community coming together. But just like, it was a terrible display. It was just disgusting.
Yeah. I mean, you hate to see layoffs of that size, and you've been following this a little bit more closely than I have. But I mean, one, you just hate to see that. But two, you're absolutely right. What a kind of disconnect were people feeling when they heard that this was going to be happening with these massive layoffs. But then, oddly, this was the best year that they've ever had. Something's just not connecting. There has to be something else going on behind the scenes that we're not made aware of. That would be my only assumption, is that there's something bigger going on here. But again, you just hate to see it. You feel for the families that were affected by this. So ultimately, just really sad news. And, again, that's why it's the Onion of the Week. Yeah.
Again, we hope that everybody that was affected by that and their families, we hope they're able to, to find a job that you can get back up on your feet. But, until then, we just, well wishes. And we hope that you can find what you're looking for and what you need. But let's try to pull ourselves to higher spirits. Yeah. We're going to move on to the Banana of the Week, the funniest news story in entertainment news. The Banana of the Week goes to Nickelodeon. Nickelodeon. And this, I feel like there's a little bit of a theme going on. And Will, we had a conversation with our good friend Weaver in the chat yesterday, and he brought up something that I thought was really interesting, and that's there's nothing new anymore. Yeah. There's no new ideas, and it's not like that itself is not anything new, because they've been doing remakes forever. I remember, I want to say back like maybe 5-10 years ago, there were all these remakes of really old movies.
Yeah.
And, I'm just thinking for some reason of like 310 to Yuma for whatever reason, but that's the movie that's popping up in my head.
I don't know. I like that movie.
No, I thought it was a great movie.
Yeah, that was good.
But it's like they took a really old classic and they remade it. Now we get into this day and age, into 2019, and it's just getting comical at this point, because now we're looking at content in the 90s. They're reviving old 90s shows. Like, these are shows that I grew up with as a kid, and like a lot of 90s content, especially like cartoons, like Rugrats, they've become, for some reason, oddly popular, especially in bar culture. I don't know why. There's like the big 90s pub crawl in Columbus. Yeah. We just bought some shot glasses covered with Nickelodeon characters. So anyways, 90s content has just been kind of popular, but I never imagined that they would pull from it this much. So Nickelodeon has its own streaming service or at least it's coming out soon. I thought it was already out, but it's called Nick Splat or something along those lines. And on that, it's fantastic. They show all of these old shows, and that's exciting. I love it. For me, it's a huge nostalgia piece. I would gladly pay $10 for that. But what they're about to do that I didn't know they were going to do is they're remaking those shows. They recently announced 2 of them so far. So All That, which is a variety comedy show likened to SNL but was kids. And then Are You Afraid of the Dark, which was like emo kids would sit around a fire and tell a scary story, but then the episode would actually be a visual retelling of that spooky story.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I've also read that they're trying to recreate some of the cartoons as well. And I understand the point of remakes, right? It's people who have seen that there is just that nostalgia value that they're trying to capitalize on. So maybe they're trying to bring back some of those older viewers to re-engage with the content that they're putting out there. They're also trying to make it relevant to a newer audience as well. Sometimes I just feel like you need to leave classics be classics. And if some things die, some things die. Bring some new material to us so we can fall in love with something new as opposed to just clinging to the past. And then I feel like we're just getting into, then nobody's happy because naturally comparisons are then going to be made. Yeah. Right? So I'm kind of over the reboot aspect of things. Now, I will say that there are good reboots out there.
Yeah, it's just hilarious that this is happening.
I am so very fascinated to see.
I will pay to watch these first seasons of these shows to see how they hold up. I still have my orange VHS tapes of compilation ones for Snick. You're hitting me, but
hesitation.
It's hard to take you seriously because kids aren't funny these days, I feel like. I don't know. Just thinking about a modern day All That, where these kids think they're so freaking funny, I'm not about it. I really think it's gonna bomb.
I think it's 100% gonna bomb.
I really hope it's a funny bad.
I hope so too.
And not like I want to claw my eyes out. It's funny bad right now, and it hasn't even come out yet.
Yeah, exactly.
So congratulations again to Nickelodeon. You win the Banana of the Week, the funniest news story in entertainment news. And that brings us, ladies and gentlemen, to our last standout news story, the Muffin of the Week, the hashtag deliciousest news story in entertainment news, our favorite moment, and that goes to
the French Fencing Federation has now recognized lightsaber duels as a competitive sport.
My dreams have come true.
It's an Olympic sport. I guess it's a sport. I think it's more of a hobby/activity. It's fun. But with the fencing aspect of it, it is going to be obviously not as free-flowing as
it's going to be
lightsaber duels could be.
Dooku versus Dooku.
So this is something that you may have seen before more often in a YouTube video that you were either tagged in on Facebook or you had just happened to stumble upon yourself. I don't know if anyone's ever seen these people perform these things, but where the hell was some of this choreography going on in the movies? What's really funny about this story is that, one, it's awesome because it's lightsabers, right?
Yeah.
There's these lightsabers. I'm just looking it up right now. So this was posted at IGN, but they pulled from a different couple sources. So it's like these polycarbonate lightsaber replicas, LED lighting, etc., etc. What was more fascinating were the reasons that they had incorporated this to become a competitive sport. One, they're trying to appeal to a different type of audience to help in reviving the sport a little bit, or bringing some new energy to the sport of fencing. So I think that's admirable. And then two, what they're trying to do, they're also citing it as due to a health concern.
What?
Just a quote I'm pulling from the IGN. With young people today, it's a real public health issue. They don't do any sport and exercise with their thumbs. It's becoming difficult to persuade them to do a sport that has no connection with getting out of the sofa and playing with one's thumbs. That is why we are trying to create a bond between our discipline and modern technologies, so participating in a sport feels natural. What's funny to me about this is that you couldn't have picked a more like narrowed, targeted like demographic to try and appeal to for fencing. I get it because of the connection with lightsabers, fencing, swords, sword fights.
Yeah.
I understand that. But if you're trying to revive this sport, it's a great way to do it, but it's so narrow. But I love it.
If it comes anywhere within like a 10-mile radius of me, I'm signing up.
I think it's a lot of fun. I know that if I were to sign up and do it, I would constantly just carry around a boombox that was playing Duel of Fates the entire time. Yeah, it warms my heart. It warms my heart to see that Star Wars is just being Star Wars. And while not all Star Wars is good Star Wars lately, I feel like, I feel like this is just it's just a kind of cool little nugget to see out there.
Congratulations again to the French Fencing Federation. You get the muffin of the week. There we go. Our favorite news story in entertainment news. Now let's give a quick recap.
Apple of the week, DCEU Onion of the week is going to the Blizzard layoffs. Very sad, and we wish all the families that were affected by that well and the best moving forward. Banana of the week, Nickelodeon. And then our favorite bit of news, the muffin of the week, going to the lightsaber and the French Fencing Federation. Say that 5 times fast.
With that said, let's jump into our weekend wrap up. Will, what are you doing this weekend, and where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram. My handle is WEV4NS24, and my Twitter handle is WEV4NS44. This weekend, I probably said this for the 3rd, 4th week in a row, but I will do it. I will finish Kingdom Hearts 3. I also have, for those of you that don't know, I really enjoy CrossFit. That's something that I've found a lot of passion in. It allows me to kind of keep up my competitive mindsets in obviously a really great supportive group outside of college athletics. So the CrossFit Open is starting this week. So it's a 4-week challenge, and I'm really excited for that. I'm excited to see what the announcement of the first workout is going to be. So if anyone's interested in, you can follow it on YouTube. And for those of you that are CrossFitters out there that are watching, I don't know how many people are there, but I do encourage you to participate in the Open. It's $20. It allows you to be, again, a little competitive with those that are here in your gym, but the overall community is fantastic, and here at BLE, that's something we can certainly support as a good community. And that's really about it. Asa, what are you doing this weekend?
Yeah, so I'll be playing some Kingdom Hearts, and then if you want to follow me, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at @AGreenRiver07. I'm more active on Twitter, especially when I'm on the toilet. So thank you again to everybody for watching. Let's give a big shout out to Samantha Jane Art for making our mascots that we use on this show. If you want to check out her stuff, you can go to SamanthaJaneArt.com. She does amazing work. If you want to connect with us, like we would love to connect with you, please go to Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, where you can find us. You can like, comment, follow, subscribe, all of that good stuff, and be a part of the community that we are growing and building there. So for Borderline Entertainment, this is Will. I'm Asa. Be well, Borderline fan.